The future belongs to those who dare, those who will do extra. Hi, I'm Mark Croskery. Welcome to Business Dive Extra, the program that looks beyond the dollars and cents to the movers and shakers in business and the capital markets. Today's guest brings all the spices to Business Dive Extra. He has more than 30 years leadership experience and a solid background in finance, operational management, and IT. For 14 years, he played an instrumental role at Island Grill, first as a financial controller for 4 years. In 2003, he became the general manager and oversaw the expansion of the company to 18 restaurants, where he served for 10 years. After his tenure at Island Grill in 2014, he ventured to pilot this company with a detailed strategic plan to grow the business. Over the past 8 years, he has guided the growth and expansion of the business from total revenue of 70 million Jamaican in 2013 to projected revenue of 850 million Jamaican in 2021 last year. To season up today's show, we are joined by Albert Bailey, CEO of Spur Tree Jamaica Spices. Albert, welcome to Business Live Extra.
Thank you very much, Mark.
It's
Thanks
great
for having
to see you.
me. Same here.
And Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you, Mark.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic, and you are. I can see it. I can see the look on your face. I mean, you're $335 million wealthier, and for all your shareholders, not just you.
Yes, we are very happy. The IPO went very well. We were very confident, having built what we think was a solid brand to bring it to the market at this time. In fact, many persons might have said to us it was not wise to have brought the IPO around the holiday period, but we felt confident in the brand, in the strength of the products and what we represent as a company. So we're happy to see how well the public subscribe to that.
Did you, on that point, Albert, was the December timing a bit strategic, with it, or did it just, happen by
Well, what happened, we were actually hoping to get to market before. We're trying to get to market in November. It got pushed back. We thought we would have done so in early December, but that got pushed back. You know, all the regulatory checks and balances and back and forth to get approval. So we got pushed right into the holiday period, but we said, listen, rather than delaying to go into January 2022, yes, let's do it. We feel pretty good about where we were, and the market responded accordingly.
Right. And the IPO was wildly successul. I mean, huge numbers, subscriptions. You went for 335 million subscriptions, well over $1 billion Jamaican dollars.
Well, over 1.3 billion.
Yeah. So I mean, huge numbers, number of applications. We've been seeing it
over 5,000.
Huge numbers as well.
Huge numbers.
And it just shows a testament to not just the financials, but the brand, the goodwill, the marketing, and you really pushed out there heavily a couple of weeks before the IPO.
Yes. I think there's tremendous equity in the brand. People believe in the product, and that's something that we have worked assiduously at over the years to make sure that anything that is aligned with Spur Tree Spices represent quality and value. And the third thing in our value proposition is convenience. So we're talking about quality, convenience, and value. And people, persons have found that in our product, and there's this strong emotional connection to the brand and to the product. So we feel pretty good about where we are right now.
I know, yeah. And how did we come up with this name? I mean, of course, we know Spur Tree, Famous Hill, Manchester, so forth, and always about the other experiences with the hill. But how did we come up with the brand here, Spur Tree?
So that is all due to my business partner, Mohan Jagnarai. Right, so he actually started the company, right? So
he's a founder.
He's a founder with Anand James and Dennis Hawkins. They worked together at the inception of the company. But the idea of Spur Tree comes from him. He had a restaurant, and he'll tell this story glowingly. Yes. He had a restaurant down in Mandeville called the Indies, and he says he used to go over to a bar close to Spur Tree to have a drink. In the evening, restaurant business sometimes can be a little bit challenging. And he used to look at Spur Tree Hill and just admire the beauty And then he also thought that, you know, when it comes to spices, you know, most of the lovely spices that the lovely flavors, not just spices, but the lovely flavors that we have in Jamaica come from in that section, Manchester border, going down to St. Elizabeth. And he thought that, you know, just that area was so rich. And if he was ever to start a business looking at seasoning and sauces, that is what he would have called it. So that's all credit to him.
And a point there, Albert, with your, you know, your business partner now, the founder of Spur Tree, Mohan, and, you know, lovely post-IPO, you know, pieces on him, on his life story and everything. Did that experience, you know, the restaurant experience, make Mohan pivot into more this value-added experience with Spur Tree? Was it like a learning curve for Mohan, would you say?
Absolutely, absolutely. The good thing about Spur Tree is that all 3 executive partners came out of the restaurant business. And I think that helps us in terms of being able to create products and to respond to markets, because we understand that business. We understand that business. So Mohan, and I'll tell you a little bit more about Mohan. He went away. We were all at Island Grill.
Yes.
And he left and he went away to work with Golden Cross. And having been in New York and working in New York, he saw a gap in the market. So when he came back to Jamaica, he had this idea to start this company.
And what gap did he see when he was in the,
especially in the food service, right? So he will tell you that he saw a significant gap in the food service business, having the restaurant background, because there was inconsistency.
Was it to get access to the quality seasonings or the products?
So what is happening? There was, you know, the heart of success in the restaurant business is consistency. If somebody comes here today and they get this product, they're coming back to expect the same level of consistency tomorrow. But a lot of restaurants do set up and they depend on, you know, just a chef. They get a chef, you know, dependent on the mood that the chef might be in, you get this product now, and if you change and that chef doesn't come in, you get a different quality product. So that is what he saw there. It was inconsistency, and he was thinking that if I can make a seasoning that will take away that responsibility from the chef and place it squarely in the product that you're using.
Where it's not just like a chef picking and choosing.
And making up a blend and mixing up this here and
all of these chefs and
restaurants, you can get consistency. So that is kind of the genesis.
So that's kind of where the whole dream came in. So the brand came from, you know, famous Hill, Mandeville, Manchester. Boom, he got his idea.
Right, and a lot of people resonate with that.
And then his experience also just being hands-on.
Hands-on.
As your business partner in New York.
Right.
Excellent. No, how did the 3 of you guys actually know each other before, say, Chicken Supreme or Island Grill days? Or
no,
was it just you guys met there?
We met at Island Grill. It's funny because it was so long ago. I mean, I stayed at Island Grill for 14 and a half years.
Yes.
I think Mohan was there for the first 2 to 3 years when I was there, and Dennis was there for about 4 years. So they actually transitioned, and I remained for another about 10 and a half years. So, you know, so we met there. There was a bond. There was respect for the work that was done by each person. And so, you know, I'll tell you the story probably later about how we came back to work together. But because of that mutual respect and working together closely in those early years, it was natural that we...
So you were kind of seeing each other's, you know, work ethic, you know, value system, behaviors.
Definitely.
But, you know, a lot of businessmen or businesswomen would tell you, you know, by themselves it's hard enough. You know, with 2 persons it's hard enough. You know, how in the world did the 3 of you form a partnership or stick it out? I mean, I'm sure there were some bad days, good days, but... You know, how in the world did the 3 of you, it's very unusual. You know, they always say you need a good number 2. Yes. But for 3 of you to stick it out and build to an IPO today, I mean, how did you guys do it?
I think that it is the understanding that we have from the first day when we agreed that would, you know, well, both of them were there before me.
Yes.
And so the day when we agreed that, you know, there will be a 3rd partner in the business, our executive partner in the business, we were quite clear on roles and responsibility and how we would work together.
You were the executive partner, or was that Dennis?
No, that's what I'm saying. So there are 2 executive partners in the business, Mohan and Dennis, and then I joined to become the 3rd person.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But from that from the inception, there was clear understanding between us about roles and responsibility and how we'll work together. And I think we formed a beautiful working relationship where we could maximize on the strength of each partner. So each person were working on the areas where they could best give their support. And so when you bring that together, you get a synergy that was necessary to build the company to where it is.
And you kind of came in at different time intervals.
Yes.
I mean, you didn't all three of you come in at one time, let's say one overhead, one cost for the business. You came in as the business evolved. As the business evolved.
So Dennis and Mohan was pretty close in terms of the start. So Mohan started, I think, with Anand, and then Dennis joined shortly after. But, you know, I came in 7 years after.
So you joined Albert roughly, what, 2013 or 2014? Or?
2014. And that's a pretty interesting story. And it was purely coincidental, although we had worked together previously. Because I was busy with my work at Island Grill, and they were busy doing Spur Tree Spices. Our path didn't cross as much. So I think coincidentally, Mohan and I lived closely, and we didn't even know that at that time.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, or you find yourself discussing work 24 hours a day?
Well, no, it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It was a good thing then, because we were passing on the same street, and I blew him. I guess by that time he had heard that I left Island Grill, so he called me and said, listen.
Okay.
He called me and said, I have a business plan, and I want you to look at it for me. I said, no problem, you know.
And it was purely by coincidence, Albert?
Purely by coincidence, right? Okay. Just passing cars, 2 cars passing, I realized it was him, I blew him.
Right.
And, you know, he called me up and said, listen, I'm in the middle of this thing, you know, we have this thing, we want to grow it. We're doing a business plan, we need some additional investment in the business. Can you look at it for me? So I said, no problem. He brought it, I looked at it, I said to Mohan, listen, hey, this is not really a business plan. It's just somebody just putting something together.
And just boom, it happened.
Boom, it happened.
We're gonna come right back to that, because we want to get that story. We like that, Sir Albert. We take our first break on Business Dive Extra. More when we return. Welcome back to Business Dive Extra. Spur Tree is a Jamaican company which has been in operation for the past 15 years. The company focuses on production, distribution, and sales of premium quality wet seasonings and sauces. Spur Tree was created to satisfy the need in the food service industry for the all-in-one seasonings that offer consistent, quality, and authentic Jamaican flavors. Spur Tree has exported to the USA, Canada, UK, and the Cayman Islands for over 10 years, and in more recent years has expanded its exports to Costa Rica, Panama, and Australia. Their value proposition is convenient, quality Jamaican products offered at a reasonable price. Here to tell us more about Spur Tree Spices is CEO Albert Bailey. Albert, welcome back to Business Dive Extra.
Thank you.
You know, we're just getting into that nitty-gritty of the business plan, and you know, we want to hear about that kind of opportunity business plan with Mohan.
Right.
Jagnarine, yeah. How did it go?
So I looked at your business plan that he had, and I said, Mohan, this is really not business plan. This is not sufficient to sell the business or to get investment in the business. It doesn't speak to what exactly the business is going to do in the future. So he said to me...
Was it like a one-piece page of paper?
Yeah,
or
it's
like
just a few little pieces, you know, cut and paste kind of thing. So I said to him, no, he turned to me and said, Lel, can you write a business plan for me, right? So I said, fine, I can do that. But in order to do that, I need to understand the business. So I set out with him. I went to the factory. We looked at everything, you know, understand the business. And he and I even went to New York to look at the market. Right? And it gave me a good understanding of what Spur Tree Spices was. And we went to doing a business plan. But knowing the persistent person that Mohan is, right? He then transitioned from looking at a business plan, doing a business plan, and then saying to me, Albert, can you join us as a partner?
Let's go big.
Yeah, let's go big. And I said to him, Mohan, I have some other projects that I'm looking forward to. And plus, coincidentally, at that time, I had gotten a massive offer from a group of company to come and be a general manager at that company.
At that, was it in the food service
No,
business,
it wasn't in the food.
Something different sector?
Some different sector. And
Albert, at that time, you know, you're traveling with Mohan, you're learning the business as well.
Yeah.
What products did Spur Tree have at that timeline, like say 2014, you know, roughly 8 years ago?
It had excellent products, right? It had excellent products. It had the jerk, obviously, which is the big draw. It had the Scotch bonnet pepper. It had the oxtail and curry. So the core products were there.
But which one was like the, I don't know, like the 80-20 rule? What was really the marquee product? Was it the Scotch bonnet product?
Well,
or was it the
jerk is, well, in the spices and sauces business, you're obviously going to start with jerk because that's the big one.
So jerk was the one you were really exporting?
Yeah, jerk is the big one. And then what happened, and our Scotch bonnet sauce does very well for us, and I'll dare to say to anybody that there's a better Scotch bonnet sauce on the market. And anybody who tries that sauce never goes back to another one.
But both products were really hitting
good.
The tone at that time.
Right. But what was done also, that while you started with jerk, there was a nice complementary set of products, other products that were built around it. And that was pretty impressive when I was looking at the company and doing the business plan. But as I was saying that I had a massive offer. And I'm transparent, so I sent it to Mohan, and I said, Mohan, listen, this is what I have before me, plus the project that I was working on. And he said to me, Albert, as a friend, I could not tell you to join us anymore. So please, you have children, you know, you have to take this offer. And I said to Mohan, well, tell her, give me until tomorrow. I'll talk back to you. And he said, no, man, please, 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 take the offer. And, you know, I'm a man of faith, so I like to be guided in terms of my critical decisions. And I prayed about it that night, and I got...
At that stage, Albert, did you kind of look back also and say there might have been a reason? As you say, why coincidentally,
when I'm looking at
that morning,
everything. It's just passing on the road, looking at what was supposed to be a business plan. So like as a man of faith, not just karma, you said, boy, God in this moment said, boy, in this moment, I need to make this move. And I'll tell you this, Mark, why in retrospect, I'm looking back and say this was what I was supposed to do. I woke up that morning with that clear understanding that this is what I have to do, right? And the money that I was getting from the other offer, which was very significant, you know, it became like nothing to me. And I felt like, you know, this is the right move that I had to make at this point in time. So when I called Mohan and told him that I'm coming, he was shocked. And he's asking me, are you sure?
Sure.
And I said, yes.
So you weren't one of those guys that said, boy, match it or renegotiate?
No, because
you had your mind set on it.
The company was small. It could not afford to pay. It couldn't afford to pay us. And that is what, one of the things that we are proud of about the partners in this business is that we went for consistently long time without being adequately compensated, right? So we did that because we know that the company could not afford to pay us, and whatever the company earned, we had to reinvest in the business, right? And especially in the market, in the overseas market, and that is why now we're getting over 95% of our business.
And is that why, Albert, you feel like the partnership has worked? Because from day one, there's been that firm understanding of this is really an equity deal, or this is, you know, this is really the size of the company, this is the outlook. But, you know, there was no misunderstanding. From day one, it was very clear.
Yeah, we were all aligned. We were all aligned as to, once we came on board, we were all aligned as to what we wanted to build, what the potential was, and how we were going to go about that. And it meant sacrifice, but we all were willing to do that.
Yeah. Albert, you mentioned that point. It's very unique selling proposition about Spur Tree.
Yeah.
95%, we saw it in your prospectus, of your revenues, export.
Yes.
It's usually totally the opposite way around.
Can I tell you something?
Locally.
Can I tell you something?
Why? Yeah.
Can I tell you something? We were hiring persons abroad to do our underground marketing work were paying far more than we were getting, far more. That was our commitment to the market. We saw the opportunity there, and we invested every single cent that we could get in that market because the potential was used. We were very confident about the products that we had. Not only that, we ourselves went into the market, went in the stores and do the demos ourselves too, right?
That's something Mohan always says.
Yes.
You would go up there, you know, cook, do everything in the stores, you know, hands-on, you know, get persons to taste it.
Let me tell you, I told you about the trip that we took to New York, right? So we went down to Philadelphia. There's a restaurant, supermarket chain called ShopRite. And, you know, Mohan has this love the personality, so he will convince persons, you know, to let him into the kitchen and the stuff. So they have a deli. And he was in, and that was when we were doing the research for the business plan. He went into the kitchen, he was cooking, I was standing in the store and doing the demo, the taste testing, the demos with customers. And I tell you something, it was just awesome. The way people reacted to the product. Like
a wild experience.
Wild experience. The way people reacted to the products, and they purchased the product. And at the end of the day, the persons who were responsible for that segment of the business came to us and said, this is the most marinated meats that they have ever sold.
Yeah.
So, you know, so with that kind of reference, that when I was making the decision to join up, I mean, I saw the potential there in terms of what actually happened. And so it was very important that I travel to the market and see the potential, and that helps to convince me that whatever else was offered, probably this has better potential.
Yeah, and some of the great stories, you know, the great balance sheets and companies are built like this. And, and would you say these are all kind of the secret sauces, you know, the small things that have built up now into the big success story of Spur Tree? Exactly.
You have to have the shared passion, I would call it. I think that we had that. We were convinced about what we wanted to achieve, and we were convinced about what was the best way to go about that. I'll tell you a story. So after we did the business plan, right, I said to Mohan and Dennis, because, you know, it's all good to have the business plan. How are we going to actualize this now, right? You know, action it. So I remember we rented a space down at Manpower.
Okay.
Yes, and we locked away for 2 days. And we said we need to flesh this out.
So this was actually before you had an office or anything?
Yeah, we didn't have anywhere at our office to have this. We didn't have a conference room, a meeting room, or anything. It was a factory space to just produce goods. And so we rented a space there, and we just locked away for 2 days, and we fleshed everything out. And Mohan will tell you, and he has this emotional way of expressing it, that they changed the course of those 2 days changed the course of Spur Tree. Because we found out then, in a session like that, you'll find out whether or not, you know, we're aligned in terms of how we think and what we want and all of that. And, you know, I was facilitating the session, and, you know, we're fleshing out our vision. We're fleshing out our vision, and, you know, when we ask the question, what do we want to achieve as a business, right? You'll find that all three of us coming up with the same answers, because how we did it was you'll write on a paper the question. We have all of these questions on the board, and each of us will look at the question, answer the question, and then we compare our thought process and come up with a final decision as to how we want to move forward.
And it was just the three of you
and just
at that time?
Just the three of us, and we were so aligned, and we came out of that with a plan. And the truth of the matter, I said to the guys, listen, I think the platform is here for us to double sales next year, which is 2014.
And that happened?
In fact, they were saying, no. The previous year, we grew sales by 10%.
By 10%.
Right.
And Albert,
and I tell you something, it happened. We moved from 70 million to 152 million the next year.
And you felt that's that 2-day workshop?
That 2-day workshop, plus how we were aligned and our passion and the drive that we have
starts to
for the
get you guys
business,
rolling.
and just got us rolling, and we never looked back from there.
Fantastic. Great part of the story. We take another break on Business Dive Extra. More when we return. Welcome back to Business Dive Extra. In each of the last 5 years, Spur Tree Spices has increased revenue by over 20%. Spur Tree's IPO opened on December 29, 2021 and closed 2 days later, more than 2 weeks earlier than expected on New Year's Eve. With 335.5 million ordinary shares up for grabs at $1 Jamaican per share, the IPO was oversubscribed as it attracted 1.3 billion Jamaican in subscriptions. The company plans to use this money raised from the IPO to fund capacity building, innovation and expansion and repay existing debt. In preparing for its IPO, Spur Tree enhanced its corporate governance and added well-known businessman METRY SEAGA as a chairman of the board of directors. Still with us to tell us all the details on this massive win is Albert Bailey, CEO of Spur Tree Spices. Albert, welcome back to Business Dive Extra.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks.
How is the company clearly, just based on looking at the prospectus, the audited financials, year-to-date numbers, you know, we're even up, very impressive, probably led to a lot of the success of the IPO too, as the market gets more and more sophisticated in Jamaica. But the governance, you now have a chairman, an independent chairman, a few other independent directors. Looking forward to it?
Very much so, very much so. We have always tried to operate the business on what we call our core principles around integrity, around excellence, around quality. And so from the very outset, we set these as, what we call non-negotiable principles that we abide by. So the addition of the independent chairman and other independent board member, I think is just enhancement of these principles that we basically have set ourselves from the outset. So we welcome this and we look forward to the working with them.
Because you are keeping your books up to date, your audited financials.
Oh, yes.
You are preparing for this day.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But also not just preparing for this day, but just the way we run our business, right? We wanted to, listen, information is key. Right? And we are making business decisions. We are interacting with banks and all of those things. So we wanted to make sure that our records, our information system is adequate, and we were making the best decisions at all times.
How has the feedback been already with, with the market? I mean, as you mentioned, financiers, bankers, maybe other potential opportunists, seeing that you're now, you're going to be public, seeing how well the IPO was received. How has it been? I know persons in the market just immediately view a company differently the next day. And, I mean, yes, it's changed that you're going to be listed, more corporate governance, but literally the banks jump on the phone. I mean, how has the reception been from the financiers? Well,
we have been getting a lot of calls, not just from financiers, but persons who take an interest beyond financing, but just wanted to see if there's opportunity for additional investment in the company, right?
You getting some of those, like, can you sell me a 20% call?
Yes. Oh, yes. We've been getting those a lot. I mean, I guess this is what the IPO did, because persons saw the company, they know it was a good company. They also know that, we have good products. The brand is loved and everything like that. But now that the IPO has opened up all the information to the public, we're getting many calls, with interest to be a part of the company. But we'll see.
What's the vibe like with, now that overseas suppliers also, or even call it buyers, customers? I mean, just the whole, everything. Now that they see the numbers, were people surprised at your size? Did they think you were smaller? Did they think you were bigger? What was the reception like, kind of, there from all your stakeholders, let's say?
Well, I think for most of the stakeholders, the critical stakeholders, they probably understood the size of the company. I think the surprise element is more so from persons who were not integrally involved in the business. But one of the things that we do also is to ensure that all the critical stakeholders had an opportunity to become shareholders also, from our employees, our distributors, our farmers, everybody. Because we want to see this company as, you know, just having that broad base of stakeholders.
You did that in kind of like the key reserved
key
or
reserve
in
pool.
the reserve pools.
Yes, key strategic partner reserve pools.
Got it. Yeah.
So, and staff pools. So we did that.
And you know, one observation, right? I mean, Grace Kennedy, you know, a partner of yours had done, like, say, a debt tranche or something of that nature years back, and that was well broadcast in the market. You know, highly publicized. Right. In hindsight, was that a key strategic move to get to maybe the growth or even bump up the year-to-date profits, which is key in an IPO year, and get you to where you are today? Okay,
so I'll tell you this, right? We talk about the story of where we're coming from, but I'll tell you that, you know, we're not deep-pocket people. And so we built this company on hard work and reinvesting everything that we earn in the company. Mm-hmm. In 2019, we saw the potential. We had laid out what we consider to be a very solid foundation, and we saw the potential and opportunity for further growth. And we think we were at like a break-even point where more, once we continue to increase sales, more would fall to the bottom line, because we're basically covering most of the costs that we're ever going to incur. And so we went out and got that loan, right? We had a $30 million loan at a point in time, and we wanted to build capacity. And so we increased that.
And capacity, Albert, was like the inventory?
Capacity in inventory, capacity in production output. Those were the two key areas, right? We wanted to upgrade the equipment and stuff like that, you know, put ourselves in a position to produce more, right? And we wanted to secure our inventory because we had reached to a size where we were not benefiting from our economies of scale. And therefore, you know, weren't able to bring in containers of product. We lease additional space, and now we're bringing in full containers of those products that we had to import. Because also I want to tell you that the business made the decision that if the products are available locally, we're going to support the local manufacturer. Okay. And we have always done that. So it is like glass bottles that is not available here. We have to bring that in. But we are able now to bring in those at a far better price, far more competitive.
From the quantity. So you're working, you really needed that working capital.
We needed that working capital. So we used that wisely. And that was 2019. And then you would have seen a significant jump in profits, operating profit in 2020. And in 2021, the numbers will come out, but we have done far better than we did in 2020.
A lot of people, you know, in the marketplace, like analysts, stakeholders, you know, some persons just thought Grace would have potentially taken even like maybe a 20% stake or something. I mean, the prospectus alluded to, you know, maybe 6% or 8%, you know, because when the debt was issued, there was commentary, maybe it's convertible debt or debt. But in hindsight, you know, how did that kind of all pan out?
Well, it was a straight-up debt arrangement, right?
A debt security.
With the option, because the discussion at that point in time was that we intend to go to market. Okay. So it was an option to convert at the time when we go to market, and obviously they gladly exercise that option.
Okay, so it's a win-win.
It's a win-win for everybody.
A win-win. Okay,
yes.
That's great. And would you say the year-to-date numbers were very impressive? Yes. You know, probably beat a lot of analysts' expectations out there. You know, although we don't have too much earnings guidance, if any, in Jamaica at this stage, unlike the U.S. Right. What really would you say, you know, created that nice jump up in whether it was the 8 months or the 9 months in the, you know, lead up to the IPO?
Well, to me, it is the momentum that the brand has. It is and I'll say this to persons, you know, they look at the top line numbers and they say, oh yeah, that's good. But we could have had much greater top line numbers if we wanted. But we are very careful that we remain true to who we are as a brand. And so we could have added a number of products that persons were asking us to add. We could do a lot of stuff that, you know, if you're just trying to grow numbers, but we wanted the integrity of the brand to be central and to remain true to who we are, and it must represent quality. And so we have laid the foundation, and customers have responded. So I think this is just a natural process in terms of where we are and the work that we continue to do. So it's a natural progression that you're seeing this level of increase. And I say this to you, Mark, that this is the belief of the persons in the business, that, you know, the opportunity for growth and what will come in the future year, we're just very excited about it. That's why we went to market, and we have never had this level of capital to invest in the business before.
Yes.
And so we're just excited about the opportunity. Ideas is what we are not short of, right? And I'm telling you about good ideas. I mean, and you're talking about the working relationship that we have, and you're asking about Mohan and myself happen to live close.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you know, we are talking on the phone all the time, and our conversations are very informal, but very, very critical to the growth of the business. So, you know, we'll bounce ideas off ourselves, you know, at any time, you know, something comes up, and it could be just a game changer like that, right? So, you know, we are very fluid in terms of that, but although we will analyze and criticize and just make sure this is the right thing for us, but we have so many good ideas on the table right now that we are looking for.
The relationship is good and solid.
The relationship is good. We have great ideas on the table that we are looking forward to implementing in the coming months.
So the growth rate in 2021 was primarily organic, Albert. It's really organic.
Very much.
And do you find then with the, you know, the acquisition of, let's say, the ACKEE factory, that will get to, you know, the new products, some of the new products you mentioned, like, you know, frozen products or goods, you know, like the patties and different things. Is the outlook for Spur Tree, besides the organic growth, to transform into a, you know, a food company overall and no longer just a sauce company?
Well, if you were privy to a business plan 8 years ago, that's exactly what we said we wanted to be. And if you be a full-blown food company, and if you look at the prospectus, you would have seen that we have already transitioned into that in terms of some of the products that we have, product lines that we have added. So that's exactly where we're going. Let's go back to our vision statement, to be the premier manufacturer and distributor of Jamaican flavors to the world. We want to take that which is uniquely Jamaican and bring it to the world in a way that it represents quality and convenience. And I think that is what is differentiating us in the market. So look for us to add to the line.
Is that the same vision that you had from the Manpower meeting room day, or has that kind of evolved or changed?
Same vision, because we remain
true. Same exact vision statement.
Same exact vision statement, because when we came up with that, right, it was broad, and people would say to us, listen, this
but it's very clear.
It's clear. It's very clear. And people would say to us, these little guys are so audacious to be talking about the premier manufacturer and distributor of Jamaican flavors to the world. What are they talking about? But
I like what you say, and we're going to come back to it. Yeah. Winning from humble beginnings.
Exactly.
We're going to come back to it. We take another break on Business Dive Extra. More with Spur Tree CEO Albert Bailey when we return. Welcome back to the final segment of Business Live Extra. Spur Tree has also shown significant improvement in performance and has proved itself COVID resilient. To further its growth in the export market, Spur Tree recently purchased Exotic Products Jamaica Successors Limited, Exotic, The product line includes Jamaican staples such as canned ACKEE, canned CALLALOO, festival mix, juices, and more. With more expansion plans ahead, approximately 95% of revenue is generated from export markets. What are the future plans to take Spur Tree further home and abroad? For a final time, we're joined by Albert Bailey, CEO of Spur Tree Spices. Albert,
yes,
you're cooking today.
Well, you know, we have been cooking for a little while now.
8 years for you and, 10 plus for the company.
10 plus for the company. We're pretty happy about where we are now. And we're even happy about the prospect ahead.
Yeah. Competitors.
Yeah.
A lot of competitors out there. Persons say the bottled water market has been saturated, but every month we see a new bottled water company and they look like they're doing well in Jamaica. Is sauces kind of the same vibe where, we keep seeing more and more sauces on the shelf, in the refrigerators, and there's more market opportunity out there for sauces?
Well, I think there's more market opportunity. When you look at what Jamaica contributes to the overall sauce and seasoning market, it's just a small percentage. So, and Mohan always say this, there's enough for each and every one of us, and we welcome the competition. You just have to be clear about your business objective and how you're going to go about building your business. And that is what we have done. So we think there's we're not even tapping into any significant opportunities, the opportunities in any significant way as yet, in terms of the potential of seasonings and sauces worldwide. So
you think there's more market share out there?
Absolutely.
Especially globally for Spur Tree?
Absolutely. Let me say this, Mark. Where we are now, right? So even if you look at our largest market, which is the United States, right? We are concentrated on the eastern seaboard, down in Florida, but our products do get to other areas. However, our distribution channels are mainly there now. So there's opportunity to expand into the Midwest, further down south, into the west of the country. So there's a lot of good opportunities there.
However, in the U.S. itself?
In the U.S. alone. And if you look at what we have done is to build a strong brand loyalty in the areas where we are. So there's opportunities to add other complementary products that customers, we get a lot of requests from customers. Why are you not carrying this? Why are you not carrying this?
Oh, you do?
Right,
okay.
Yes. So that is what we are going to be looking at as we move forward. Look at expanding to other areas in the existing markets, and also look at bringing on board additional products.
And to that point, Albert, as you diversify, like even this, the ACKEE business, you've acquired it.
Right.
Is it something that in your mind, yourself and Mohan can manage, or now going public as well as you grow the business? Are you going to have to bring in more, whether it's executives or management, into the company?
Right. So what we have been able to do, we have been able to, over the years, develop a good core set of employees who are very loyal and committed to the company. I cannot speak enough about our employees. When we're doing the
What's the employee headcount like?
Well, we're at about 50 at Spur Tree, and at the ACKEE factory we have about another 50.
Okay.
Right, and those are full-time employees. Plus, you have seasonal employees a lot of seasonal employees that come on during the season, the various seasons. But we have a core set of employees that we have worked with over these many years. And one of the things I was contemplating on while we're doing the prospectus was the fact that our employees really don't leave. They love working with the company. So yes, we'll continue to develop our existing employees and give them the opportunity to continue to grow, but we'll also bring in additional talent in the business, and that is one area that we are looking at right now too.
And what's the play with the ACKEE company? Is it something that, I think as a junior listing, you can't really go and list another subsidiary, to my knowledge, but I mean, you keep it private. Do you want to try and do a deal with it, or is it just to grow it right now?
Right now, our emphasis on it is to grow it right now. As a fully owned subsidiary of Spur Tree, it has tremendous potential. ACKEE is a highly demanded product.
Is it branded Spur Tree, Albert? The output from the...
The output from...
Everything is Spur Tree.
Nearly everything is Spur Tree, right? So it's something that, you know, as a brand, we can leverage. It's a highly demanded item. It opens door for you. You know,
so this is kind of the complementary play.
Yeah, it is a strategic product because, you know, I don't think that we are supplying, as a country, at 50% of the demand for ACKEE. And that is why we made that strategic.
And it commands a really, you know, high net margin or like a high US dollar price for it is...
Yeah, it is a reasonable price item, but it does more than that for you as a business, right? You know, you'd want to have ACKEE under your brand if you're going into the export market, yes.
Okay. And you know, Albert, clearly, you know, let's just say a valuation, you know, 1.5, 1.6, you know, 1.7, give or take or so, you know, billion Jamaican or so. I mean, it's clearly from the market feedback, all those refund checks out there, you're going to blow past 2 billion, maybe 2.5 billion in short change. A lot of money chased it. And you're bullish on Spur Tree. I mean, you even got some shares back, you know, before the IPO with Mohan, which shows how much, I mean, unlike a lot of other IPOs, you know, with one of the partners exiting, Mr. Hawkins, it just shows how bullish you are on Spur Tree.
Because we know this company. We have been here all these years working, building, you know, executing strategy. And we are very, very confident about the future. We think that, you know, what is before us is far, far greater than what is behind us. And, you know, the passion is still there, the drive is there, and the goals that we set ourselves, we are just at the outset in terms of what we want to become as a company. And we are pretty excited about the future of this company. We are just rearing to go to the next phase.
What's the energy level now like of you and Mohan? You feeling a bit tired after the IPO, or are you feeling rejuvenated now?
We're totally re-energized. I mean, listen, we'll probably list this week Friday, and we just want that aspect to be completed to just get back to what we do.
Because it takes a lot out here, right? You know,
yes, I mean, we have been focusing on that a lot.
Clear that.
Right, so we want to clear that hurdle because we are just waiting now to get out there and to do some great work and get this company to where we know it belongs, right? This needs to be known as a great Jamaican brand long after I am gone, and this is our intention, right?
And Albert, do you find, you know, when you look at what, you know, some of the moves Lasco has made, you know, Derrimon has made, I just get a vibe from you without knowing that. You think you'll do an acquisition in the US one day? You think you'll do something, whatever it is, whether it's manufacturing, supermarket, something, vertical integration. I just get a sense with all your exports there and everything that you'll do something there one day.
Let's put it like this, Mark. When I talk about ideas, and I say we have a lot of ideas on the table, we do have a lot of ideas on the table. So we will look at expansion through whatever means possible, right? Whether it is joint venture, whether it's acquisition, you know. So we have a lot of ideas on the table. Ideas are what we have. We know we have ideas, right? So it is implementing, executing and implementing these. Obviously, we got some funds now that will help us. The most funds we have ever had as a business. And that is going back in the business totally. And we are just excited about the future.
That's great. And, you know, Albert, as a caliber old boy, how does the whole success story, everything make you feel?
You know, I would say that, you know, from very humble beginnings, right? So if I was born in St. Elizabeth, in a little district called Five Spen. And I'll tell you this, Mark. My father was not educated. My mother was not educated. But they made the sacrifice, right? In my early days, and I have to credit them a whole lot. I could not finish this interview without talking about them. In my early days, I went to school 3 days. I was certain to go to school 3 days, Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And then I would have to go in the field to work with my father Thursdays and Fridays. From I was born, I was working. I just knew myself working, and that developed a strict work ethics in me.
And you're a chartered accountant?
Yes.
No.
I am a chartered accountant, and you know, it is my parents' legacy in terms of what they have instilled in me. Very humble people from humble beginning. You know, just have instilled the right values in me, and you know, just tell me that I could achieve things, and they made a lot of sacrifice for me to leave the country and to come to school, to go to Calabar, and you know, this is where we are today. So I have to recognize their wonderful input, and all the persons who have contributed to my life, my church. Yes. You know, persons like, and you might know her, Reverend Carmen Stewart, who was my pastor. She's now deceased, but you know, just a lot of people.
That's good. You know, Albert, just listening to your personal story, it's a lot like Spur Tree.
Yes.
I mean, both of your stories are so similar, and you know, great Jamaican stories.
Yes. Mirror each other, you know, and that's more on story too.
Yeah.
So if you look at the Spur Tree story, it mirrors our story in life in terms of
aligned vision.
Right, and I think that is why we come together and we have passion around achieving something and making something that we can consider to be, you know, want to become a great Jamaican brand. And we're just happy that customers have bought into this idea, this story, and our customers. And this is the thing I have to talk about our customers, Mark. They have this strong emotional bond and connection with our product. When people speak about Spur Tree,
yes,
right, they speak about Spur Tree with passion. I've been reading some of the comments because we have been doing a lot of social media work.
I realize, like data and research and everything.
And when people speak about Spur Tree, you know, you can see that emotional connection, the videos, everything, you know, and you know, we are very happy about that. And you know, as I said, the future is very, very bright for us.
Oh, Albert, thank you. I can see the happiness in you, the emotions in you. I mean, it's like Spur Tree. Yes. And you know, it's an amazing story, you know, to hear you, and thanks for joining us on Business Live Extra, from humble beginnings, winning, and it's just a great, you know, Jamaican story.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thanks for having us, and we look forward to great things as we move forward.
No, appreciate it. That's it for another edition of Business Live Extra. Remember, epic things start with small, humble steps. We've been talking with Albert Bailey, CEO of Spur Tree Spices Jamaica. Don't forget, you can watch us online at cvm.com/videos/Business Live Extra. Thanks for joining us.